now back to Western North Carolina, where we are getting an update from officials in Buncombe County. Let's go ahead and listen in.
As hard as we did, and
just a quick announcement at this time, Beloved is no longer able to accept donations at their location. So at this point, if you have small donations, you can drop them off at ABCCM, which is located at 24 Cumberland Avenue in Asheville. And next, we will take remarks from County Manager Pender.
Thank you, Stacy. Good afternoon. Today, we opened an additional emergency shelter. Our general population shelters are at AB Tech Conference Center, 16 Fernandhurst Drive, Asheville, North Carolina, 28801. Please use the Victoria Road entrance. Navant Health, the former Gold's Gym. Location is 1815 Hendersonville Road in Asheville. This location has a playroom for children, so it may be more suitable for families. Please note that no pets are allowed at this location. We have a medical emergency shelter for individuals who are dependent on medical equipment requiring power. That is located at 10 Genevieve Circle. That is on the AB Tech campus. Again, 10 Genevieve Circle, Asheville, North Carolina. The shelter at the Ag Center is full. Please do not go there. Some good news to report about WastePro and trash pickup. Tomorrow, WastePro will provide service to regular Thursday routes where there are full and safely accessed for large trucks. I'll say that again. So tomorrow on the Thursday routes, WastePro will begin picking up trash, but only in locations where they can fully and safely access with their large trucks. If you're a WastePro customer and your collection day is Thursday, they will reach out to you. If your can has not been emptied by the end of the day, please bring it back. Please bring it back in. That means that no beers or anything else can get to that trash can. And it also means that they cannot reach you because some part of that road is not accessible. Please do not put storm debris in your cans. We have a separate debris hauler who will collect that. The landfill is operating at regular hours, and you can drop waste off there anytime. WastePro also will have trucks out at 3 Ingalls location from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. for residents to bring bagged household waste. So beginning tomorrow on Thursday, 8 a.m. until 6 p.m., WastePro will have some trucks at these locations for Ingalls. The first, Ingalls at 2901 Hendersonville Road in Fletcher. That's 2901 Hendersonville Road in Fletcher. 1865 Hendersonville Road in Asheville. 1865 Hendersonville Road, Asheville. And lastly, 225 Charlotte Highway in Asheville. These trucks are also not for storm debris. That collection will happen later. We're still assessing the feasibility for Friday routes. So this information is for Thursday only. So tomorrow only is what I'm talking about. We'll assess what will happen for Friday and we'll give you notice of that in the future. We expect to announce details about the One Buncombe call center tomorrow. The One Buncombe call center will be able to triage non-emergency requests with accurate information from the Emergency Operations Center. Moving to power, and an update on our power. 91,000 customers remain without power. So yesterday, I told you it was 100,000, so we're making some progress. Duke Energy expects to restore the majority of customers who can receive power by the end of the day Friday. Many will receive power earlier, but power restoration can take longer in some areas that cannot be accessible. 2 substations in Swannanoa that was submerged will take months to repair. Duke has brought in mobile substations as an interim solution. Those have been delivered to the substation sites and are expected to power up by the end of the week. We also have an update from Weaverville. The boil advisory is in effect for their water until further notice. Water must come to a rolling boil for at least 1 full minute. Please conserve water. This is an emergency water supply. Water distribution is happening at North Windy Ridge Intermediate School. Bring your own water containers. Water and pantry items will be available for pickup on Thursday, October 3rd at the Weaverville Community Center, located at 60 Lakeshore Drive, starting at 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. Donations of water and pantry items will be collected at the Community Center Thursday, October 3rd from 3 p.m. between 3 and 4 p.m. Weaverville Town Garbage Collection potentially to resume on Monday, October 7th. We'll give you more updates as we get closer to Monday. If your power is restored before your water, turn off your water heater to avoid damaging the heating elements. There's a mobile ATM at the PNC Bank on Weaver Boulevard. T-Mobile is establishing an area for Wi-Fi and phone charging behind the Tractor Supply in Weaverville. And lastly, from Weaverville, lunch is being provided at the Methodist and Baptist churches on Main Street. With that, I will respond this morning. Someone asked if we know how many customers are on well water in Buncombe County. We have 8,000 wells drilled in Buncombe County. So that's my update for this afternoon, and I'll pass it over to City Manager Deborah Campbell.
Thank you, Avril. As stated, my name is Deborah Campbell, and I serve as the city manager for Asheville. Let me start by saying, I hope you all are managing as best you can under these unprecedented circumstances. I know we all wish things were better, but let me assure you the city, county, state, and federal government are working in a coordinated manner and as fast as we can to assist and meet your most basic needs. However, our recovery efforts will take weeks, not days. This morning, my staff and I met with another newly assigned staff person from FEMA, who is leading one of FEMA's incident management assistance teams assigned to help with our response efforts. Use an acronym, the IMI team is embedding a team of 25 employees in our area for the next several weeks. At this meeting, she asked, what are some immediate needs or priorities? Our response was the
You've been listening to the Buncombe County update. We want to take you now to Greenville, the Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Senator Lindsey Graham is speaking there. This is a center set up for people with medical needs, a shelter.
To make this part of the country whole. I mean, their people have lost everything. And we got a lot of backfilling to do. And I promised that I would work with President Biden as soon as we can. And I think we should go back in session, quite frankly. I think we need to get back in Washington and deal with this crisis in a responsible way. But we're looking at well north of $100 billion, a lot more than that when it's all said and done. As to the port, the governor stressed to President Biden that 1 in 10 jobs depend on the port. Critical infrastructure under federal law includes ports. Now, why do we do that? Why do we want to harden our ports from attack by foreign entities, terrorists, or crooks? Because if a port goes down, we go down. So I find it odd that under federal law, ports are considered critical infrastructure, and we're having our port shut down in the middle of just a catastrophe in this part of South Carolina and North Carolina. I'm all for people being treated fairly. But I've urged President Biden not to let this go on much longer. What have I learned from my doctors today? That the hospitals are going to run out of supplies, and a lot of it comes from the port. What did I learn from the port today? $200 million of economic activity per day at that port. 7,000 trucks in or out, picking up and delivering goods, and it's completely shut down. This hurricane was Mother Nature. The port problem is man-made. So I'm urging President Biden, do not let this linger. Because if you have this port and other ports on these coasts shut down at the critical time, it will be a calamity.
I did mention we have some volunteers from out of state. There's a group from Louisiana downstairs right now that answered the call. And we've received telephone calls promising help from Governor Landry, from Brian Kemp in Georgia. Of course, Roy Cooper is here today, and others as well. I also got a call from President Trump promising whatever he can do. So a lot of people around the country are watching, paying attention. And it gives me great comfort to know that they're interested in our welfare. And in the past, we've sent teams to the other states, and now they're sending those that are not struck by the same calamity are sending us to us. So it's very comforting. Congressman Timmons.
Good afternoon. First, I just want to say how thankful we are to have Governor McMaster at the helm. It wasn't long ago we were dealing with COVID, and he got us through that. And now we have a hurricane, and he's going to get us through this. And his team in Columbia at the EMD has done an absolutely incredible job really keeping us safe. The first few days were very challenging. Duke Power had to get emergency power to our hospitals and then to our gas terminals and then to our gas stations. And once we got that done, I mean, we're basically living in the 1930s. You can go to the grocery store, you can get food. You're not going to have electricity for a while. I don't think I'm going to have electricity until next week. I know Duke Power's saying Friday, but I'm prepared for next week. And I'm telling you that because everybody should be prepared for next week. I know it's uncomfortable at times. We're lucky it's getting down in the 60s at night, but we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. And I'd also like to thank Sheriff Lewis and Sheriff Wright behind us for keeping us safe. There were times when there were, 2-hour waits at the gas stations, and we maintain the rule of law, and that's very important. Duke has been working overtime. They have thousands and thousands of linemen. Just yesterday, I went and watched some 7 linemen from Blue Ridge Electric get a pole back up. It took them 5 or 6 hours. Blue Ridge Electric, like the senator said, has 700 poles down. Duke's got thousands, 6, 7, 8,000 poles down. And they have probably about that many linemen working on it, but this takes time. It takes time, and areas that have more challenging terrain will take longer. So we need to be patient. Again, we're all safe. We're very fortunate for that. We need to be praying for our friends across the border in Asheville. They are struggling a lot more. We need to remember that we are fortunate. We have gotten through the hard part, but we got to have patience to get through the rest. Last but certainly not least, I reached out to the Biden administration a number of days ago, and the IRS as well. People that filed an extension don't or have to pay their taxes on October 15th. The IRS has agreed to extend people that have been affected by the hurricane their date until May. So talk to your tax filer, talk to your accountant, make sure that applies to you. But we're very fortunate they've been able to react so quickly and extend that relief. So the office has a website, timmons.house.gov/hurricane. We have a lot of resources there. Disasterassistance.gov is a great stop to see whether you are available and what you're eligible for in regards to relief for damage to your property that your insurance is not going to cover. Again, have patience. We are all safe. There's plenty of gas. There's food in the grocery stores. Neighbors need to help neighbors. If you don't have power, your neighbor does, maybe see if you can wash your clothes. You got friends, you got family, rely on them. Duke says Friday for the vast majority of people, but it could very well be early next week for some. So again, I want to thank the governor and his team for the leadership they have shown here in South Carolina. And again, we are very fortunate, and we need to pray for our friends in North Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Secretary of State Mark Hamilton.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for your leadership. Senator Graham, thank you, and law enforcement. What a wonderful job. I know you're working hard. Thank you for all that you do. And also, I'd like to thank our nonprofit community. As Secretary of State, I oversee the nonprofit community here in the state of South Carolina. And we have a wonderful nonprofit community, one that wants to serve this state and help others. We are a small state, but we have a big heart. So I want your donation to go to those in need. I want the most of your money to go to those in need, so I want you to be vigilant. I want you to research these organizations. I want you to make sure that they are registered in the Secretary of State's office. I want you to make sure that they are not pressuring you, that a reputable organization will not use pressure tactics to get you to contribute. Also, do not give these organizations your Social Security number. If you do pay online, use a credit card. Beware of identity theft. And also, if you are uncomfortable about a solicitation, you can contact the South Carolina Secretary of State's office at sos.sc.gov. You can file a confidential complaint, and we will look at that complaint, we will investigate that, and if need be, we will put that organization on notice. Also, if you receive a solicitation, about a year ago, we started a new app. It's called GiveSmartSC. You can download it on your phone, and while you are receiving a solicitation, you can go into that app, see if they're registered, see how much they raise, see how much goes to their programs, see how much they spend on fundraising. All that information is right there on at your fingertips, and then at the end, you can file a confidential complaint. South Carolina is wonderful. Neighbors are helping neighbors, and if I can leave you with this, thank you for all the hard work. Thank you for contributions. But what I want to tell you is give from the heart, but please give smart. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Dr. Ed Summer, Department of Health.
Thank you, Governor. First of all, let me thank the Governor, Senator Graham, Representative Timmons for coming to visit our shelter today. For a little bit of information, this is a medical needs shelter. We have 8 of these across the upstate right now, and these are designed for people who have medical needs. Perhaps they have medical equipment, they have an oxygen generator, but then they have medical needs that require a constant supply of electricity. You'll also see there's some folks here in hospital beds because that's what they need. So for folks whose power is out and they can't get the medical needs they need at home, they can come here and we will help them with that. We will take care of them and make sure that they are well. This facility that you're in right now has a capacity of 110 people with medical needs, and 110 caregivers, so they can bring someone with them. So that's a total of 220 people that can be here. We've had as many as 47, so that would be 94 total. Right now we're at about half of that because thankfully the power is starting to come back on and we're able to start getting people to go back home. But we will be here as long as they need us. These shelters are a team effort. Let me also emphasize that. Although this is a Department of Public Health facility, we have great support here from Prisma. The Prisma staff are here. They are doing a great job with us. We have medical students and nursing students from the University of South Carolina, Greenville that are working with us, volunteering. And we've gotten great support from Beth and her team that run the arena. They are not charging us for this. They are giving this arena space to us at no charge and have been incredibly supportive. So again, this is a great team effort. I think you'll see that a lot of people are being helped here. And again, there are a number of these all across the upstate because this is very important because we never want to lose someone because they couldn't get their medical care or the medical supplies that they needed. Let me just finish by a couple of things, safety issues. First of all, still a lot of folks with power out, a lot of folks using generators. Generators can be a great thing, but you have to be very careful with them. Please don't put the generator inside or even very close to a door or window. Really, ideally, you should be 20 feet away from the dwelling. Don't put it in an attached garage because carbon monoxide can kill you very quickly. It's odorless. You'll never know. You'll simply fall asleep and you'll never wake up. So please be careful if you're using a generator. Again, as we talked about, be careful with heat illness. Try to avoid activities during the height of the day. It's still pretty hot out there. Make sure you're staying hydrated. And as we've talked about food safety, if you've got a refrigerator or freezer with food and the power's still out, throw it out. Get new food. We will work with you on that, but please throw the food out because it is not safe at this point. So again, thank you all. Let me especially thank all the heroes that are volunteering here who I mentioned. This happens because of them. With that, Governor, thank you very much.
Can you mention the hospital and the port?
Oh, yes, sir. The other thing, I know that was mentioned by several people here, the concerns about the port strike. And certainly, we at the Department of Public Health share that concern. As you might imagine, we're going through a lot of medical supplies right now. Our hospitals are going through a lot of medical supplies right now. Pharmacies, medical practices out in town who've lost power are going to have to replace a lot of things that got too warm. But many of those things, many of those medical supplies come through our ports. The longer this strike goes, the harder it's going to be for us to get the medical supplies we need to get back on our feet. So certainly the sooner that strike ends, the better it'll be for the health of the people of South Carolina.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And finally, Mayor Knox White.
Okay. A lot of very important messages today to convey. We very much appreciate that. But I just mainly want to put a punctuation on thank you to the governor from the very first day when I think the storm was still raging when you called. So you had good prescience that something big was happening, and we appreciate support from the very beginning. Senator Graham and Congressman Timmons, thank you for being here. I know that the folks out in the field, our many, many crews that are cleaning up the streets, the linemen that are out there, and certainly our first responders, police, and fire, as this goes on days after days, it's very hard work. It means so much to them, Governor, that you and all of you have been here today to let them know you have their back and that you care and the support we have. That means everything to all of those workers and all of us here in the city of Greenville. So thank you for that. And thank you also to the Bon Secours Center for this amazing one-stop shop, if you will, for emergency assistance. It is amazing what's going on here and what this means to our community, and that the health services, food is being delivered downstairs and prepared. There are bags of ice going out of here. All those wonderful concessions you have when you come to this center are now being brought back to the community for helping people. So it's an amazing resource we have here. So thank you all for being here and having everyone's back.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Governor, do you have any update on the number of people that died?
39, unfortunately. All kind of things come through the port. It's been estimated that 1 out of 10 people in our state are affected directly by the functioning of the port. And as Senator Graham mentioned, it's estimated that this strike will cost us about $200 million a day. But any business that depends on things being shipped in to the port, and that's a lot of things, as well as those being shipped out, will be affected. The longer it lasts, the worse it'll get. That's why we asked President Biden today to consider, under the Taft-Hartley Act, says that if a strike is a threat to the health or safety of the nation, that it can be enjoined for a period. So that's what we're hoping, that he will do that if it's not settled immediately.
Governor, have you had any comments or any conversations recently with Speaker Smith or President Alexander about whether the General Assembly should come back to session to allocate funding for agencies like DOT?
I know there have been discussions. I have not had them myself, but my staff has. We've been in constant touch with them and others.
Do you think the legislature does need to come back for a special session?
We'll see how the storm goes. We hope that everything is back where it was quickly, but that's a decision that will be made at the right time.
Trump has criticized the federal response to the storm. Can you guys share his perspective on the federal system?
Well, we have had an embedded representative from FEMA since the very beginning. They've responded very well on our requests. We were just took a couple of days to get our emergency declaration accepted by the president. We, as far as the money that is involved and the reimbursements and those things, those are yet to come. But in so far, we've had good responses, and we're very, very pleased.
Could I grab one thing back? I think President Biden coming here today was helpful. Everybody I've talked to has responded quickly, and I'm so impressed with the governor's team, the mayor. I mean, we're all working good together. I can't emphasize this strike needs to end sooner rather than later. I cannot tell you how serious this will jeopardize our recovery in South Carolina and North Carolina. This is going to jeopardize public health. It's going to jeopardize public safety. I understand trying to get a better deal. I get all of that. But there's a federal law on the books that allows the President of the United States to stop and enjoin strikes like this that can affect the public good and the public welfare. I'm here to tell you, I know a lot about our port. It is the economic engine of the state of South Carolina. BMW, a lot of the cars they make here go through that port. They're eventually going to run out of places to put cars. Hospitals. There are a lot of medicines that have been lost because they can't be refrigerated. The supplies will dwindle over time, and this port is an essential outlet to the world for South Carolina. So, President Biden, thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your team. But I am urging you, I am telling you, I am begging you, end this strike sooner rather than later, because you're adding misery to pain.
And also, we presented to them the plight of our farmers and the importance of that. And we hope to see some progress on that to help them. A lot of them have to close up because of the damages. Pecan groves, new and old trees have been knocked down. It'll make you cry to look at it. And a lot of livestock being lost because of the heat, because of the lack of refrigeration, the lack of cool. We got a lot of problems that would help. But we're getting, as I mentioned, we're getting help from other states, from the federal government. But the main help that we're getting is from the people of South Carolina, and it's really a very comforting and heartwarming thing to see the way people are coming forward to help their neighbors and help their communities. Oh, I think burying the lines is a great idea. Senator Graham, I think he raised that with the president as well when we were talking on the tarmac at the airport. It's more expensive than putting them up in the air, but also you avoid the expense of what we're going through now of trying to replace them all. So there are pros and cons, but I think that it will be a good thing if we can get it done. We're also hoping in some states they require, building codes require filling stations or convenience stores that serve gasoline to have a generator in their system. We have not done that here, but I think that the idea is a good one, whether it needs to be required or not. I'm hoping that at least our larger institutions, larger businesses will do that, because that's really part of the problem. We have plenty of gas in the ground in the tanks, but when the power goes out, you can't pump it up. It's just down there. You can't get it up. In the old days, you'd turn the crank and see it go through a glass jug and go into it. Those days been gone. So there are a lot of things we can do differently, I think, and that's certainly one of them, burying them. I believe in terms of deaths, yes. I think Hugo was 36 or something like that, 35. And this so far, 39. I hope that's the end of it. That's why what was said earlier is so important, Dr. Summer. Don't have that generator anywhere near the house. We've had, I think, 2 deaths from that. We've had, I can't remember the numbers, but we've had the most of the deaths had been from trees falling on vehicles or trees falling on houses. And we've had some cars washed off, I think 2 cars washed off the road by the water. We've had people that were cutting with chainsaws trees out of the road and got hit by vehicles. We've had people swerving on the road to avoid a tree or a limb and running into another vehicle. And some candles that were unattended that caught things on fire. There are all kind of ways that these accidents can happen and end up in death. So we've had enough tragedy. We don't need any more deaths. So we would ask people to be very, very careful. This is a good time to be very, very careful doing normal things that you wouldn't even think about otherwise. Yes, sir. I talked to Attorney General Alan Wilson recently. Force, if you know of anyone that is charging an unreasonable amount because of the storm, just compare before and after. Now, some prices will go up normally because of the lack of distribution. It's just supply and demand. But if it's real high, call the Attorney General's office and they'll take action, because it is illegal to gouge prices in South Carolina.
2 more questions. Governor, you mentioned the amount of power poles that are down. How is the state going to supplement the municipalities like Greenville, like Lawrence, to have solar power poles down as they try to clean up there?
Well, That, of course, will be a part of their budget, as well as that of the power companies. What we are hoping is that part of the FEMA program, which we've been approved for in, I think, 13 counties, and we have 7 more that we hope will be approved quickly, that they will be able to receive funds to do that work. It might be 75% of the cost, with 25% left to be negotiated, but that's precisely what FEMA is for. There are two types of, the main 2 types of things are personal assistance at your house, damages to you or yours, and the other type is the public assistance for things like that, municipalities, highways, roads, those kind of things. And we've been approved again right off the bat for 13 of our counties, all along this sort from here on down. And we hope to have 7 more. We just need those counties to get the information to the Emergency Management Division. That's the state institute, and they will send that on up to D.C. And we've been, Administrator Deanne Criswell said again today with the president that it'd be approved immediately. So we just need to get all that information from the counties up there.
Last question, if there is one. I have one more. The Department of Public Health, they mentioned people from Asheville might be coming here. Do you know anything more about that?
Go ahead. Tell me.
Dr. Ed Simmer, Director of South Carolina Department of Public Health. We do not have any specifics at this time. Certainly, if North Carolina tells us they need help and we have the capacity to help them, we will, of course, do that in any way we can. But again, we don't have any specifics as of yet, but we are ready if needed.
And thank you very much, and keep your neighbors, friends, loved ones in your prayers. Thank you. Thank you.
An update there from South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster. The governor shared that 39 people have now died from Helene in South Carolina.
And let's get back up to Western North Carolina, where Buncombe County officials continue their press conference on updates following Helene.
I am just not in the position today to give an estimate on the restoration of water service, but I have to remind you, we do have residents right now that have water. It's only going to improve as time goes, but I think less than a week from the beginning of the storm, I am just not in a position to give that type of timeline. We haven't
understand.
even assessed the full system yet.
And do you have any, like, I'm wondering about a comparative basis if there, I know this is, we keep saying catastrophic and unprecedented, but are you in contact with other municipalities, other cities that have faced similar challenges, maybe not from the same types of storm system, but similar challenges with their water systems? And would that give us any indication of, X place took this long and we could use that as some sort of model? Are you in touch with anywhere that might give us that sort of information?
Right. So, of course, we've been in contact with other municipalities. We have folks like the Cape Fear Water Utility that they're pretty experienced with hurricanes. What I'm really excited about is the teams we have from FEMA. The return to water systems is that's what they do, and they're here, as well as the IMT team that the State Emergency Management Department sent. And at this point, they're not willing to make an estimate, so I'm not going to either.
This is Keith Campbell.
But we have them as a resource, and as we learn more and assess, we're going to get better and better at providing information.
So this is Keith Campbell from Asheville Watchdog, and you've mentioned the incremental nature of repairing this. Can you share with us, like, what are you most optimistic about in terms of the different problems and challenges that you're facing? What do you think we'll see first in terms of progress or an increase in water? Where will that occur?
Well, I'm most optimistic about Mills River because we have water there and we've installed pumps that are going to allow us to run that facility at full production. Again, that facility really provides service to South Asheville and Buncombe County. In terms of when I say incremental, and people that are here know this, our water system is extremely complex. We have elevation changes. We have, I think, over 40 pressure zones. We have pump stations. We use gravity. It is an extremely complex water system. as we were able to pressurize lines in the distribution system, we're probably going to find leaks we don't even know. So again, when I say incremental, and we're not even close to that outside of Mills River. As we begin to pressurize our system, we're going to learn a lot more about damages to the distribution system. And we may have areas, as once we pressurize, that are less damaged and can get water sooner. So again, it's an extremely complex water system.
I know you're not able to give a timeline for like the full restoration, but I'm wondering if you can give us some sense of timing on the Mills River increase in output. Are we talking days, weeks? What are we talking about in a general sense?
So here's what I'm going to do. I'll be here tomorrow for questions from the media related to the water system. And ask me that tomorrow, and I hope I can give you a more precise timeline on that. But just please know we have made great progress there, but I need more information before I can make an estimate.
Okay.
Sorry. Hi. I'm Jessica Mayora from Enlace Latino NC. We have a question. How many Latin people have disappeared and died?
How many people have disappeared and died? Latin.
Was the question how many people have disappeared and died?
In the Hispanic community.
In the Hispanic community. I certainly don't know the answer to that.
Yes.
At this time, we do not have that information.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Do we know when we might have information on identities of those who have perished?
We are working on gathering that information, and we do not have an exact time frame at this point. But I do think that in the coming days, we will, after the process of notification of family members has occurred, then we will begin to release those names.
There was a reference to a missing person list. I think Chief Lamb mentioned it. Can we get an idea of how many people are on that list?
Yeah, so currently we have two different lists running. We have one within the city of Asheville. And we have also have one with Buncombe County. So that way we're dividing and conquering. Basically, we're taking all of the list and information that's coming in, and we're conducting welfare checks at each one. The city list is right now at 155 total. Now, the good news is from that 155, we've been able to work that down to where we only have 26 left on the list that we still haven't made contact with. A lot of that is thanks to cell phone companies being able to get the cell towers back online. And we've had family members reach back out to us and tell us that they found their family member. So all of that is wonderful news that we're able to get family members back in touch with each other. Now, we also know that some of those on the list are ones that we're seeing going in the water or underwater. And so of those, we've been able to make a positive identification on one individual. And we also were able to notify the family on that one as well.
And the number of unaccounted people from the county's estimate, can we hear what that is right now? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sheriff Miller's coming up to the podium.
Okay, thanks.
I mentioned earlier that number is down to 4 for the entire county that we're covering.
Down to 4?
Yes.
Okay.
We have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Number of people who are missing. We have people who are...
I thought he was talking about welfare checks.
No, I'm asking about the number of people who are unaccounted for based on Buncombe County's estimate.
We're unable to report that right now.
Okay.
Sheriff Miller, I have a real quick question for you. Do you know the number of people being currently held in Buncombe County Jail right now?
Yes, sir. That number right now is 463.
Have there been any issues at the facility since the storm, any water or power issues or anything like that?
Yes, initially we did have issues with our water, and we've been able to address that. The through the county with the amount of gallons of water that we have needed for flushing of the facility. We've also brought in different, I would say, showers, so we can shower porta johns, so we could have that for the use of the detainees. But we haven't had anything different. Or I know his report, I think I spoke about yesterday about misinformation. And misinformation was about, I think, suicides or whatever those were. I addressed that yesterday, telling you that that is not the case in the county detention facility.
While you're up there, I'm wondering, could you tell us a little bit about the deputy who passed away during storm response? About who they were and what they meant to the department.
That was not Buncombe County. I know that would happen in Macon County, I believe. Madison County.
It's Laura Lee again at Blue Ridge Public Radio. I have a question for County Manager Pender, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Wanted to get an update on, we're getting a lot of questions about internet providers and any other update that you may have on cell network, as that continues to be an issue.
I don't have an update on cell providers. What we have been working on is getting temporary communication trailers, I will call them. They're called cows, but we've been working on getting those so we can redeploy those across our community. We have received a few. There's some that we've placed, I believe some in Black Mountain, Swannanoa area, and we're working on getting more that we can deploy in the meantime, an interim solution until we can get a more definitive answer from our cell providers.
We're getting some updates this afternoon from officials there in Buncombe County in western North Carolina, sharing that 91,000 customers right now remain without power in Buncombe County. That is a lot. However, officials saying that is an improvement from yesterday when 100,000 customers were without power in Buncombe County.
And also in Buncombe County, we learned that when it comes to the restoration of overall water services in the county, there is no timeline on that right now, so they're asking for patience. But also check your local municipalities' boil water advisories, a lot of those still in effect in Buncombe County and surrounding areas.
And in South Carolina, we heard that update just a moment ago as well. Senator Lindsey Graham and the Governor Henry McMaster imploring President Biden to use federal laws to stop the port strike, saying that ports opening are critical to getting medical assistance. Let's go to Griffin now for weather.